To my guest be Ms. Deronda Metz. She's the Director of Social Services, the Salvation Army Center for Hope. How you doing, Ms. Metz?
I'm doing good, thank you.
The Female Salvation Army. How long have you been doing that?
I have been at the Salvation Army for 21 years, working as in several capacities as a social worker, shelter director, now the Director of Social Services, which includes the Center of Hope, the shelter,
Correct.
but also all of our other social services programs here in Charlotte.
What made you want to work in that position?
Well, you know, actually, I took it as just a part-time job on the weekends. I was looking for something part-time while I was in school full-time, and I saw the job in the paper, and I thought this would be interesting. And at that time, homelessness in Charlotte looked very different. This was back in 1990, and we were located uptown Charlotte, and it was convenient to where I was going to school. So I could say that when I went there 21 years ago, I had no idea I'd still be there.
You're doing a great job.
Well,
You're doing a great job. What inspires you to want to be the director of the Salvation Army?
Well, it's just getting a chance to just make some change and be a part of change and be a part of the solution. One of the things that I always say, I think one of the reasons why I can do the job that I do and do it successfully is that my office is located at the emergency shelter.
Okay.
So when I get out of my car, the first thing I see, the first thing I saw this morning, for an example, were our children outside exercising.
Okay.
We have about 150 children at the shelter. And I'm looking forward to in the morning because we'll be moving 4 families out of the shelter.
Oh, okay.
So that's what inspires me and keeps me going.
How many families do you house presently?
Well, right now at the Center of Hope, because now we have 2 programs.
Oh, okay.
Actually 3 locations. But right now at the Center of Hope, we have over 80 families in the shelter. Now that's moms with kids. Okay. We also have women that don't have children. So we have about 120, 125. Real interesting time for us right now because as of this May, we start serving older teenage boys.
Oh, okay. And that was going to be another one of my questions. What made you want to do something like that with the youth, the male?
One of the reasons was because we, for years, had split the families up.
Correct.
And so that was very difficult for moms. And sometimes moms chose not to come in. So they would either stay in some real dangerous situations, sometimes in a car, sometimes with an abuser, because they didn't want to leave their children. There were cases when the mom would come in the shelter and the son would stay over at the youth network. That was about a 14-day stay, but it was very hard on that child. So after watching that scenario for years, telling moms, if you have an older child, he won't be able to come to the shelter, and seeing the pain, I mean, for families that were already in a crisis, re-traumatizing children that were already experiencing trauma, we wanted to try something different. So in 2006, we did it, but we did it to age 15.
Okay.
This year, this past May, we had to go to age 18. Actually, it was mandated from some federal funds that we received. It has proven to be more of an opportunity than a risk.
Why you say that?
Well, for an example, we have 17 teenage boys that we typically would not have served. So we thought about all the horror stories, all the things that could go wrong. But what we didn't plan for is what an opportunity for us to change lives. So a couple of weeks ago, for an example, we took our kids, teenagers, to Washington, D.C. I had the opportunity to go with them, and it was a life-changing experience. I took the kids so they could have a good experience. Well, it turned out to be a great experience for me and for them, and I learned a lot. I learned that our children are like any other children. They just don't have a home. Smart young men. I think one of their strengths are because they've had to survive. They are extraordinarily smart and actually very, very respectful, very thankful, very grateful, and looking forward to next week when school starts. So it's been a great opportunity. One of the things that, and I have been talking about this all week, is that we used to serving kids or serving boys to age 12 and 13. Well, now we have these young men to age 18. So for me, I feel really, really motivated to get them there. You know, they're right here. They can become a high school graduate, which is huge. But even better than that, let's push these kids to go to college. And this is what's going to make the difference. This is what's going to break the cycle so they won't end up being at the men's shelter. I've been at the Salvation Army long enough to see some of our young boys at the shelter that are actually at the men's shelter as we speak. And that's heartbreaking.
Correct.
Those are the opportunities that we have to change lives. So we have a huge task in front of us that I feel excited about, because it gives us an opportunity to really make a difference. Not that we don't make a difference in the work that we typically do.
Correct.
But it gives us an opportunity to make a difference where it really counts, and that's to break that cycle of generational homelessness, poverty, going to jail.
Correct.
So I'm excited about the possibilities.
What all different types of programs or services do you provide at your location?
Well, we are very fortunate because we have a Boys and Girls Club at the shelter.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the only Boys and Girls Club that is at a homeless shelter in this country. So we have that club on site. We also provide some youth prevention, substance abuse prevention for our youth. We had the services on site 2 years ago. We saw a little bit of it, but now with this increase, it's perfect.
Correct.
And it's Freedom House, Substance Abuse Services, and Mecklenburg County ABC Board actually funds it. So that program has been on site for a couple years, and it's effective. So we have those programs on site for our youth. We have a Mother's Morning Out program. Also, huge partnership with the Department of Social Services, so we're able to get our kids daycare. But the things we offer for our adults, we have social work services, we have a job training program, Show Up for Life, which is awesome. Teach people just what it says, show up for life. We have a partnership with Central Piedmont, so we have a GED program on site, and we also have a substance abuse treatment program. So for women that cannot get treatment or recovery anywhere in this country with the cost of with Medicaid and state cuts because they can't find treatment, they can come to the Salvation Army Center of Hope and get treatment, and that's provided through Mecklenburg County. A huge partner for us is we have a health clinic right on site, and that health clinic does prescriptions, physicals, doing immunizations for our kids going back to school. So we have a different model at the Center of Hope. Sometimes, somebody was telling me last week, sometimes your success can possibly work against you because you may attract a lot of people to that facility. I like to think that people can come to us if they are in need of hope, and we're open to that. We are really trying to narrow down allowing people to come in to Mecklenburg County residents only.
How important is it to build that young lady's self-esteem, especially in the situation she's in right now?
Yeah, it's critical. It's critical. You know, we work with those young women that were in the foster care system. You know, and it's a hard story. So we had a population of people that lost their job, but we also have a population of people that just kind of was born into some not so good circumstances. So it's critical. I think one of the things that we try to do, especially through our Show Up for Life program, it's a job training program, but it's also a motivational program. It's therapeutic. It's getting people to talk about trauma and recovering from abuse, and bringing speakers in that have been there, have they already experienced and then overcame it. And it's pretty effective.
I know you talk, what are some stories? I know you have a lot of young ladies that leave your facility and they come back being successful, started employment, getting their housing. How does that make you feel? It
really, really good. And I think one story that comes to mind is a young lady that came through the shelter, and it's her story. But her story, she came to the shelter with everything she had in a food line bag. And she was one that got off the bus and didn't know where to go. And the police brought her to the Salvation Army Center of Hope. And she came there. She actually ended up going through substance abuse treatment, and she got clean. She went back to school. She got her bachelor's, she got her master's, she brought a home, and now she's actually working for the United Way. So I love that story, and you know, so and that's a good story. We also have a young lady, and we were so excited 4 years ago, because she was going to the prom from the Center of Hope. So she was in high school. We all, you know, acting like moms, parents, getting her ready, got a limousine services, all through a lot of community volunteers, and sent her to the prom. And this year, she sent us an invitation for her college graduation at North Carolina Central. So those are good stories. And those are two of many great stories.
Correct. And it's all because of your program that all that, and God, that made all that possible.
Exactly.
For these individuals, you know, because they may have wanted to give up. And that's a great thing.
I think one of the things sometimes at the end of the day, or sometime in the middle of the day, you get a little frustrated because you think, can anybody help? Can somebody help?
Correct.
And one of the things that we do is we are the Center of Hope, and we very rarely turn people away. There were a couple of occasions this year because we are full. I mean, every bed is full. We have about 350 women and children. We have people on the dining room floor, unfortunately, have families sleeping in the TV room. But we really try to strategize each morning how we're going to get people in. Sometimes people blow it, and they have to leave.
Correct.
But a lot of times we give them another chance and another chance. And because over the years we've seen that the population, and sometimes when people are down on their luck, it's difficult living in a homeless shelter. So people may not be able to follow each rule that you have.
Correct.
But we give them another chance a lot of times, and they come in and they get it together. So I think when I think about the Center of Hope, I think for a lot of people that come to our doors, it is the last option for hope, the last place that people can go. And I don't mind being the place where people can go because they don't have any other options. It's not your first choice. We don't really mind being the last choice because it's a good choice.
Correct. For some of those ladies that's been through abusive relationship, how big is confidentiality within your?
It's very big. We are not a great facility for people that are fleeing an imminent danger for domestic violence. So in other words, if you have someone that's literally trying to hunt you down to harm you, we would try to get you over to United Family Services Battered Women's Shelter. We do serve a high, about 25% of the women that come to us are from a domestic violence situation, but their abuser may not necessarily be trying to track them down. They've experienced that. Confidentiality is critical for us, and sometimes people don't understand, because if you came to our front door, we're not going to let you know who stay in the shelter, and that's pretty important.
Correct.
And so we have to protect our women, and we also have 150 children each night.
Okay.
So we have to protect the women and children in the shelter, so we won't tell you who stays in the shelter.
And that's very important.
It's very important. And I think when you've gone through trauma, I mean, the first, one-on-one, you really need to feel like you're in a safe place. And that's one of the things that we try to provide. So, that even, sometimes when other organizations call, sometimes they don't understand our confidentiality policy, but it's a must. There are times when people have missing family members that it gets to be, a little tricky. So we try to work in cooperation with the police if it's in the best interest of someone's safety.
What's the hardest thing you have to deal with within your position?
Wow.
Because I know it's a whole. I know your day is very. I know you have to go through a lot of things.
I think the hardest thing so far today is that we are crowded. I mean, when I say we're crowded, the corners are full. And I think making a decision on whether or not we're going to stop admissions today. We have not made a decision yet, but I spoke with someone at the county about it earlier today. Those are some tough decisions. We have some moms that have teenage boys that have been away for the summer that need to come back to the shelter this week, and we don't have any beds. So I think the toughest decisions are whether or not people can get in and out the door. There are other tough decisions that I have to make as the program manager or manager for the Salvation Army when surrounding funding. Okay. What is the priority? It's a priority to stop admissions and do what you do here in the shelter well, or is the priority to get people off the street? So those are some tough challenges. We also right now working in collaboration with several other agencies, and collaboration is great,
Correct.
but it's challenging. Mm-hmm.
In your profession, do you get emotional, and do you take it home with you?
I tell you, when we went to D.C. with those teenage boys and teenage girls, when we pulled back up at the shelter that night after returning from D.C., I got emotional. And, you know, really, I really actually wept. And I think not so much, not in front of the kids, but I was sad that kids would have to return to a shelter because everything seemed so normal while we would go, and then pull back up that night. And not that it's a bad place, and people were not sad about coming back, but I felt sad. But getting emotional is good for me, because what that did for me is the next morning I immediately started contacting some people in this city that have access to some resources to house families.
Correct.
And said, this is how I felt. We pulled back up at the shelter last night, and it broke my heart that these kids had to return. What can you do to help? And so as a result of that emotion and communicating that with people that had resources, we're right now working on getting some of those families housed.
That's why you're there for so many years, I guess, because helping people, that's so wonderful. That's a great feeling.
It's a great feeling. And some days you get tired. And I think one of the things that keep me going, and I'm going to miss this, because all summer long, we have a summer camp there. And every morning, those kids are circled up, doing jumping jacks, doing push-ups, doing cadence, and they're all together. And the day they made these like tie-dye T-shirts, so that's sort of hanging on the gate. When I first pulled up, I said, what is hanging on the gate? But then it's tie-dye T-shirts. But I'm going to miss watching those kids each morning. I'll get a chance to see them in the evening. But that, during the summer, it really gave me quite a lift. So I get out my car in the morning, and I just stand out there, and I just listen to them. And I listen to the director of our Boys and Girls Club, Anthony, reading scripture or just being out there with the kids. And I know that he's making a difference. And not just talking the talk, but really making a difference. And you see it in our kids. So they come in for lunch, and they're asking the people that run the kitchen, can we help? Do you need us to help us with something? Do you need us to help you with something? And when they see me getting out of my car in the morning, if they see me carrying some things, they're going to automatically come and help.
Correct.
Making a difference. And that's what I see. And I know I'm putting a lot of focus on our kids, because they are really, that is the solution to how we make real change.
Correct.
It's through our kids. And we got to always hold on to our parents. And but our kids, we got to break the cycle. So for me, I think being there 21 years and doing what I do and seeing our kids grow up, and some grow up successfully and some not so successful, sort of motivates you to say, you know, they are important. Somebody has to care.
Correct.
So,
and I know they love you for that.
Yeah. It's interesting. So kids come in. We did a survey with our kids, and you say, how did you feel when you come to the shelter? I was scared, I was mad, I was angry. You know, I was mad at my mom for that we had to come back, and to see what happens. So I'm excited about the school year. It's going to be very interesting. I'm excited about the homeschools that our kids will be attending this year.
So do they have to attend certain schools while at your location, or do they go back to their home school?
Yes, under the McKinney-Vento Act, which provides several rights for children that are homeless. It says that if you went to school, for example, we have a child that went to school with the Butler. So Butler has to send a bus there on next Thursday to pick him up and take him to Butler. So then we have another, West Charlotte High School is our home school. And, you know, the principal at West Charlotte and the staff at West Charlotte will be working with us and our children. Walter G. Byers is our homeschool for our kids, KG. This year's going to be through 8th grade.
Okay.
So one of the things that I've been trying to do this week is reach out to the school system to say, how can we coordinate where we won't have to have the buses pulling up at the shelter. We had a little of that last year, and it created some challenges. Just working with the school system. So wherever kids went to last year, they had a right to go back. But some of them may choose the homeschools.
And it's real touching because the fact that, you know, of what you're doing for those lives of those individuals.
Yeah, I like to think that we make a difference. Some days, you know, you look at it and there's a lot of frustration because of so many people.
Correct.
And if you walk in the shelter today and you ask people what they would need, a lot of them would say homes, but a lot of them are going to say jobs. We have a serious challenge with people getting employment. And, you know, I like to think we have several new initiatives going on. We have a partnership going on with Charlotte Housing Authority, where we're able to house 60 families at a time. But even with that back-end resources, we have people that are still coming in the door because of the current job situation. So most people would say they would like a job. They're not just going to say, I want a free house. They're going to say, I want a job, because people understand that that's key to maintaining that home.
Correct.
So I'm just trying to figure out ways, and I know it's a challenge for our city, as it is across this country, the unemployment piece of it is, but just trying to figure out some creative ways that we can get some of our ladies employed where they can be able to move their families on. So that's frustrating sometimes for people that we work with. And then you have a celebration like tomorrow when 4 families are moving out.
Okay. You know, and you said about the employment and stuff like that, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to happen. And just keeping them encouraged and believing that's going to happen. I guess that's one of the biggest things that it is.
Yeah. So we're trying to implement a new program called Friday Night Hope. And it'll be sort of like a praise testimonial service. So we'll have people that have been there, who have come through the Salvation Army, come back in, give a testimony, you know, and just give people some hope, a little entertainment, to try to build people up. Through our Show Up for Life job program, we try to do the same thing, try to encourage people to just hold on, maintain the hope, don't get frustrated. I was saying earlier today, somebody said, what's the difference between people that make it out of homelessness versus those that don't? And I think for those that do, it's a matter of enduring situations, like enduring being in a shelter until you can get the tools that you need to be able to move out. And a lot of it is just keeping the hope, keeping the faith that it's a temporary situation. There are resources in this community, and there are programs that will help people, but you got to be willing to participate and do your part too. So,
how long are they able to stay at your facility?
Well, families can stay 6 months, and single individual women can stay 90 days. However, we sort of extend that period of time, especially now with the unemployment. So we say 6 months. If you are continuously looking for a job, just being diligent about trying to work on whatever it is that your home, you know, cause of homelessness will allow you to stay there.
Okay, we're running short on time, Deronda. If someone want to get in contact with you, how would they go about doing that?
You could call our main number at 704-348-2560. My extension is 245. You can call our main number, or you can visit our website.
And if they're looking for, if you have people that have jobs, are they able to contact you as well, you know, to provide employment for these young ladies?
Yes, if people have jobs that they would like to, you know, good jobs, you know, full-time, part-time, you know, because, you know, some type of income is better than none. Yes, they would definitely be able to contact me about that.
And that's, I mean, how long will you feel you'll be the director of the Center of Hope?
I don't know, maybe 25 years. I don't know.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good number, 25.
That's a good number.
Yeah, I think I'll stay there until I think I'll know when it's time to go. I think I'll know when it's time. One thing I want to make sure we do before I leave. I thought I wanted to get a housing program in place. Well, that happened. Get a couple of satellite shelters open. That happened. One of the things that I want to make sure we do is have a sustainable program for our youth. You know, one that would include like mentorship, but something that's going to make a long-term impact for years to come.
And you know that's going to happen as well.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we just voice what we need. You know, this is what we need. We need people, a community to wrap their arms around our youth. We have a lot of them. I watched a group of our teenage boys yesterday walking. I was like, oh goodness. You know, just so many risks for our youth. But what an opportunity for us. We know we may not be able to save everybody, but we're definitely going to make an effort to save all that we can. And I think we can do it, but we can only do that with, of course, the support of the community.
Correct. Deronda, I really appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm continuing doing an outstanding job that you do for the Center of Hope. I know there's a lot of people really appreciate. There's a lot of lives that you've helped. You know, and I see you getting, please don't make me get emotional in here, because the fact that, you know, I know how it feels like to really be in need, and to have God send people like yourself in lives, and when you want to give up, you always know that you have to keep on enduring.
Yeah, yeah. And I understand it too. I understand it too. So, and I'm really thankful to understand that, and to be able to be in a position. And when I say position, I don't mean that just like I'm on the Salvation Army's payroll, but be in position to be able to, you know, make that difference. So
it's a good feeling of gratitude.
It is. It's a great feeling. So I'm not one to complain about work at all. And I was saying earlier today that, you know, when you think about homelessness and you think about unemployment, it hits so close to home, because so many of my friends and family members call me up just looking for a job because they're getting ready to get evicted. And it just sort of lets you know the challenges ahead. And, you know, all of us really just trying to be hopeful that things will turn around and people will be able to start back getting employment.
Correct.
Because right now, the way it seems in the phone calls I get from people that have a college education that's looking for a job, that's threatening evictions, it really, it's going to be some tough years, I think, to come.
All right, Deronda, really appreciate you coming on the show. Anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Audience, thank you for watching the show, and you be encouraged. Thank you.